Okay, so today I'm going back down to the immigration in Phuket town, basically because I've made a new visa. I've now got to let them know my current address, even though it's the same address as they had on file before. You have to renew it. The law regarding the 24-hour period, if you're away from your property for more than 24 hours, you used to have to let immigration know. Now, according to immigration yesterday, and the guy that I spoke to, which was behind the information desk, he said that no longer applies as long as you're not leaving Thailand. But because I went out and made a new visa, I have to do the update on the address, as I say, even though it's the same address. So that's what we're going to be doing this morning, and basically it's the same as making a letter of residence. I'm not having the actual letter, I'm just letting them know, but you have to have all the same documentation. So you're going to need, if your property is owned by somebody else, you're renting it, you will need a copy of the owner's ID card, both sides, and that needs to be signed by the owner. You will also need a copy of the house book, also signed by the owner. You will also need copies of your passport, signed by yourself, copies of your visa entry stamp, signed by yourself. Is there anything else? And you also need a letter from the owner, or filled in from the owner, the letter of power of attorney if the owner can't come with you to the immigration, which basically means that you can act on the owner's behalf. The owner grants you permission to do that, so you need that also signed by the owner. And those are the things that you're going to need to be able to do a letter of residence or update your address. Now, I should just mention that I have forgot one thing that I've just mentioned on the list. If you're renting, you're going to need a copy of your rental contract as well, so that's important as well to add to that list that I've already given you. Unfortunately, in my position, because I've opted for a visa where I apply outside of the country, and then every 3 months, rather than doing 90-day reporting, I have to go out the country and come back in. I will have to do this every 3 months, so a bit of a grind, because immigration is not my favourite place, as some of you will already know. I've mentioned this before, but unfortunately these are the things you have to do if you want to live in Thailand. Each visa type, whether you do in country or out country, have advantages and disadvantages. You have to just decide on what best suits you and your situation. I want to do a little bit of travelling, so this gives me an excuse to go in and out of Thailand and travel. It suits me to do that. It may not suit you in your circumstance, so you have to decide. But of course, whatever you decide on, you have to meet the current requirements for the application that you're making. So I'll come back to you shortly. Okay, so Nat's just getting a couple of photocopies of my visa and my TM6, which is the entry card that you get when you come into Thailand, just to be on the safe side. We don't know if they need the TM6, but we're going to do it anyway. Now, we're in a photocopying shop in Phuket town, just down from immigration. This one is a little bit cheaper here. It's 10 baht a copy than in immigration. Immigration is literally just down this road on the right hand side. So we're only a couple of minutes away. We'll get these photocopies done and we're going to go into immigration, and I will show you just before we go in the amount of paperwork we've got, just to give them my address. Really, it's absolutely crazy here. The Thai immigration absolutely love their paperwork. So just quickly, you can see here the amount of paperwork that we're having to submit just to let them know my address. Quite a lot of pages there. The owner's ID, my Nat's IDs in there, my paperwork, my visa, etc. Yeah, and also that's the deed of the title deed of the property that we're living at as well. So it's quite a lot there. That's a new addition that they've now added as well. And as I've said, the contract as well you need. Okay, so we've just arrived here down at Phuket Immigration. We're going to go in. Nat's got the folder of all the paperwork. Now, what she's actually done is made 4 duplicate copies of what we have today, so that each time we have to come back, she's already got it pre-made. So rather than having to go to the owner each time and getting the signatures, etc., and all the paperwork, it's just a little tip if you do it 4 times, because I'm going to need it 4 times during the 12 months. Okay, there she is, my address, and it's taken about 15-20 minutes. It was very busy in there this morning. I would say that it was busier today than it was yesterday. 14 separate pieces of paper that I needed to be able to just make my address, which is a bit crazy really. You also need the revenue stamps that you will have seen on one of the pieces of paper. These are 10 baht each. You need 2 of them. You normally get these from a stationery shop. You can't get them here from Phuket Immigration, so you need to get those beforehand. Nat has bought quite a few, so we've got some in stock, and that's a good idea to do. If you're going to be coming here regular, which if you're living in Thailand, the longest you can go without having contact with immigration is 90 days, regardless of what visa you have. The maximum stay without being in touch with immigration in some shape or form, whether it be online, 90-day reporting, whatever it may be, is 90 days. So every 90 days I've got to come and do this again, because my visa, I go outside the country after 90 days and then come back in. So when I leave the country, I have to update my address every time. So these are the pros and cons of different ones. If you're in country and you're doing the 90-day reporting, you don't have to update your address every 90 days, only if there's a change in address or something like that, but you still have to make your address. This is the same procedure that I've just done this morning as if I was making a letter of residency, but obviously I don't have the letter because I don't need it today, so that is free of charge, the same as making your address. But of course there have been reports of being charged for this service, so just bear that in mind. There was no charge today because I haven't had a letter. I've just got that little bit of paper in my passport and that's it. So that is the procedure for making your address here in Thailand at immigration in Phuket. And again, it depends on your circumstances of what pieces of paper you need, whether you're the owner of the property, whether you're a rentee. If you're renting the property, it's going to vary slightly on what you will need depending on your circumstances. But this, for me, I'm renting, so this is what I've had to do this morning. Well, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this video, found it helpful and informative, and if so, please don't forget to like, share and possibly subscribe if this is the sort of content that you like.